We got three huge artists that have released three new singles and introduced an album era, and I feel like we are in this rare moment where actually we have a lead single and an album on the way, and I'm so used to in the last few years just getting a flurry of like 800 singles as we lead to an album that may or may not be coming, and it's hard to predict. But between Luke Combs and Zach Bryan and Lainey Wilson, it just kind of feels like we're in this prime time of music where I'm like, this is so fun. I feel like a regular music fan. I can actually get excited about an album, and there's not 8,000 songs, and I feel like it's death by a thousand cuts by the time the album has arrived. And so I want to do kind of a throwback, like not a single smackdown, but just sort of talk about each of these new singles that they put out and talk about what era is coming, and I don't know, make a video. That's a thing I do still. Luke Combs just dropped a new track called The Man He Sees in Me.
I hope he never finds out that I didn't hang the moon.
I knew this song as the Spider-Man song because the first lyric is about like a kid in his Spider-Man costume, and sort of the whole thing is about how he looks up to his dad. And being a dad seems to be the theme of Luke Combs' new album that he just announced that's dropping just a week after this song, called Fathers and Sons. And man, this song is just so gorgeous. I think this song's really beautiful. It's written by Luke and Josh Phillips, and Josh is having quite a year because he was also the sole writer on Cody Johnson's new single, Dirt Cheap, and he's becoming, I guess, the guy for these beautiful kind of wholesome family anthems. Tonally, this song reminds me a lot of Luke Combs' own song, Even Though I'm Leaving, although whereas that one is looking at a generation above him, this one's kind of looking down at his son and wanting to be the man that little boy sees Luke as. Wanting to kind of rise to the occasion and meet that expectation of being like a superhero father.
I'll finally be the man he sees in me.
It also really reminded me of Eric Church's song Monsters, which I still think is one of the most underrated songs in the Eric Church catalog. So beautiful. Musically, what I really like about this song is the simple arrangement and the way it really builds, I think, in a sophisticated way. Like, you've got the acoustic guitar, I think there's some dobro, these little bits of steel, but then by the time the chorus gets there, you're really getting some harmonies, and then by the time the second verse comes in, you're getting some brushed drums, and it just blossoms into a beautiful, reflective little song. Also mentions Zebco's. It was also a Luke Combs lyric, which is how I learned I don't know what Zebco means way back in the day, which the internet never forgives me for. But, it's a fishing rod. If you, like me, at one point in your life didn't know what Zebco was. But I just think the whole thing is gorgeous and classy. It's funny this comes right after Luke Combs' Twisters soundtrack song, Ain't No Love in Oklahoma, which is way more of like a rough and tumble Luke song, more in the same vein as like Cold As You. But I don't know, this kind of rollout and this fatherly album era to me is so indicative of kind of how Luke Combs has navigated superstardom now that he's at the A-list of the A-list in country music. I feel like with all of Morgan's various dramas and controversies and getting nominated but not winning awards and then throwing a chair off a building, he's doing that, and then Zach Bryan is kind of sort of getting a backlash forming against him, known as being a bit of a drama queen online. Luke is just like, slow and steady wins the race. I'm just going to be the patient, normal performer here, and I feel like that has created a whole groundswell of new support for him. Like, I kind of feel like his career lulled a little bit around the growing up era, and now Luke is just sort of an established entity. He is one of the biggest stars. We like him. We like his songs. They are simple and straight down the middle. They're pretty undeniably country, and they're sweet. And I feel like this song will do nothing to slow that down. Do y'all feel the same way? Because that's kind of how I feel about Luke. Like, he's just playing that kind of patient game, has played off. Patient. That would be the word I'd use. Anyway, pumped to hear the album, and I really like the song. Guys, Instagram just notified me that my reel of me dancing to Austin by Blake Shelton, but doing the Dasha dance of her song Austin, is a smash hit. So, thanks for supporting my important work. Then I want to talk about Lainey Wilson's new single, Hang Tight, Honey. So this song is the first one off Lainey Wilson's upcoming album, Whirlwind. And first thing I gotta say is, I love the cover of Whirlwind. To me, this feels like an iconic cover. Just, you get the little sway back of a horse and Lainey looking over it in a cowboy hat, and it's so simple. You don't even see the whole freaking horse in the picture, but you know it's there. It's cool. It's a beautiful, high contrast. I don't know, it feels like an iconic album cover to me. But I think between Lainey Wilson winning all these awards like Entertainer of the Year and then having this mega classy album cover, I was expecting her to go in a direction of like live like you were dying or do a kind of a big career ballad statement song. So when Hang Tight Honey came out and it was like really kind of like an 80s-ish groovy bop that almost reminds me of the Judds, I was surprised.
I'll be saving all my love for you come Sunday afternoon.
Maybe even a touch like, huh? What are you doing? But as I've listened to this song more, I love it. I think it's completely different than anything else in the musical landscape. It is sort of Lainey's brand of funky, like southern fried country music. It has like a little bit of that Muscle Shoals feel with a woo, woo kind of things all through it. And lyrically, I think it's an easy song to underestimate because it is this really fun thing. You don't really listening that closely, but this song is interesting. It's about both being a career statement song of like, I'm working to make it in music, but also a love song of, I'm working to make it home to you, honey. So just like hang tight. I'm going to be back soon. I'm going to have a bunch of money. I've played all these shows and now, you get all the sugar, for lack of a better word. Even the opening line of the song I think is so cool where she's like, I bought a bus before I bought a house because that's what you got to do when you're dreaming. And she talks about how these audiences that she's playing to, it's like, I'm doing a one night stand with this crowd getting sideways. Like it's very like country written where you have a word about standing with a one night stand with the crowd and they're sideways. Like little things like that all through it are very clever, but I don't feel like the cleverness is leading the song. It's just present in the lyrics. But really, I feel like the drums are what are so cool on this song. Like I can be really critical of how I feel like Jay Joyce is sometimes overbearing for my taste, at least in his percussiveness, but I feel like the drums on this are unusual and cool. The fills hit in interesting places, and it just gives the whole song a very like alive, rambunctious feeling. I feel like it's if you took the tone of a Charles Wesley Godwin song about like, I'm on the road and I'm willing and able to provide for my family. This is like a flirtier version of that, a flirtier, funkier version of a Charles Wesley Godwin lyric, and I don't know, I think it's cool. Not what I expected, but I do think it's cool, and I'm interested to see if it ends up becoming a hit because it's pretty freaking different. It doesn't sound like, anyone else putting out music right now to me. And yes, I know everyone is tired of Lainey Wilson winning all the awards and thinks she's an industry plant. I talked about that at the end of my Lainey Wilson video essay I did and why I think the industry is invested in Lainey Wilson succeeding. And so go watch that video if you haven't checked it out. And on that, I just feel like don't take out your anger that Morgan Wallen is not winning awards on Lainey Wilson, as if she is the one voting for it and pulling the strings to make that happen. That's my only thought on that. And then last I want to talk about Pink Skies by Zach Bryan.
If you could see now, you'd be proud, but you think lazy.
So this song had kind of been percolating through TikTok, social media for a while. People thought it was going to be called Eulogy. It ended up being called Pink Skies. And I love that Zach is in love with sunset colors as song titles. Like he put out Something in the Orange, and now he's putting out Pink Skies. I've said in every review I do of Zach Bryan that he's obsessed with the sky. Like he's always looking at the sun or the moon or the sky and thinking about his feelings. And I felt so validated when a song came out called Pink Skies. And now he's actually released another song called Purple Gas. And I also felt validated because I was telling my buddy, hey, I feel like Zach's going to release a song with purple soon. And then he did it. So now we've got two songs from what's going to be his upcoming album, The Great American Bar Scene. I'm assuming this is the cover because they both had this as their cover. And I don't know when it's going to drop, but we do know it is dropping sometime soon. Pink Skies is a song about kind of the aftermath of a funeral. And they're cleaning out the house of this person that has passed, thinking about what is the next step. And Zach says, so clean the house, clear the drawers, mop the floors, stand tall. And they're kind of creating the appearance of, no one's ever lived here before. And there's something that is incredibly sad about that. He's like seeing the notches on the door frame of, where people grew up, and he's like, we're doing something where we're making it look like no one's ever been here, and there's something so sad about that, but then at the same time, there's something kind of resilient about it. Like, what else are we gonna do? It's kind of gritting his teeth and getting through a moment of grief.
Under pink skies, you taught him to enjoy.
Zach is so good at writing about grief, like knowing how he lost his mother, and that's kind of what got him into writing music with Deanne. It makes sense that this is a topic that I think he is so artful at writing about. Very light production as usual, but I actually love the little banjo getting added in. Everyone on TikTok has demo-itis, and they get attached to an acoustic version of nothing but just the guitar and someone singing it live. That's cool that that's what's in style now. At the same time, everyone always freaks out and they're like, ugh, I don't like that you added a banjo onto it. I don't like that there's a single drum beat in here. Popular music needs some level of production, I would say. And I do not think it is, I don't listen to Pink Skies and I'm like, oh, I'm overwhelmed by all of this production on here. I feel like, chill out, everybody. It's some little light banjo plucking. We're all gonna be fine.
So clean the house, clear the drawers, mop the floor.
The song functions to me both as this kind of coping mechanism of sort of cleaning up literally as a way of moving forward, which, you know, back when I was mega depressed back in like 2017 and I was reading, you know, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and 12 Rules for Life, I loved messages like that. It's like, well, what else am I going to do? I better just like clean my house because that at least makes me not feel worse. But then it's also kind of a celebratory memory of this person that's passed, where it's like, if you could see where the people you've left behind are now, you'd think they're yuppies, but you'd like them and you'd be proud. And I do like how Zach says, you'd think they's yuppies. There's something so regional dialectic about that that's fun to say. Zach also dropped this song called Purple Gas with Nolene Hoffman, and wow, that song rules. I actually reviewed it last year in a video that kind of bombed, but I have reviewed that song, so that reel of my thoughts on Purple Gas, which I think is just like a classic lyric, destined for greatness, as I say in it. That's on my Instagram and TikTok. But anyway, I'm excited to hear the rest of Zach's album, and I'm really excited for all three of these albums. What kind of a lame video for me to make, just being like, here are 3 songs that I really like, but I mean it when I say there's something so fun about A-listers dropping a song, you know an album is coming, and we just get to be excited for it for a minute. It is not the war of attrition that I sometimes feel where I'm fatigued by the time an album arrives. I'm like, I'm actually excited for all 3 of these records, and I hope they don't make a liar of me and put out 17 more songs between now and then. But they're all good, and these are all people at the very top of the game. Obviously, country's having a moment, and it's fun to watch. So those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts, and I will be back with more videos very soon. Love y'all. Bye.